afternoon, Dunkirk and Fredonia listeners, and welcome back to News at Noon. News at Noon is brought to you by Fredonia Radio Systems on WCVF 88.9 and WDVL 89.5. I'm News Director Lee Pye, here today with my news assistants Dan Quagliana, Sara Lodespoto, Joshua Ribakove, as well as Hunter Halterman and Brock Papke. With this top of the hour update, we'll bring you the latest on SUNY Fredonia's campus news and events, sports, weather, and music, as well as national and international news. First up, let's go to the event bulletin for this week. Dr. Amy Schiller's talk, Gradually Then Suddenly, How Techno-Optimism Took Over Philanthropy. This talk will focus on the rise of financialized language like return on investment and the acceleration of philanthropy, focused on the artificial intelligence, space travel, and humanity's long-term future. This event will be hosted on Wednesday, November 1st from 12 to 1 p.m. in the Williams Center S204 ABCD. The Club Writers Ring is hosting a Halloween event. They will be announcing the winners for their annual Halloween poetry and prose competition, where student writers submit their works to win prizes and have their works submitted to the campus newspaper, The Leader. There is also a costume contest and a spooky movie to be shown. The event will be held in Fenton Hall in the English Reading Room on October 31st at 7 p.m. That's it for the information through the grapevines. Next up, we'll bring it to Dan for our latest campus news updates.
Thanks, Lee. About a year ago, the White House announced this current year to be the Year of Open Science, which is a push for academic communities to adopt broader and more equitable access to scientific research. To accomplish this here at Fredonia, Reed Library will be hosting their own Year of Open Science. The library has begun to help faculty members publish their research more openly, in accordance with new federal guidelines which highlight the importance of collaboration. The staff at Reed Library, for their part, have always embraced opening up public research to, well, the public by including free databases on their website. This new initiative has been spearheaded by Research and Information Literary Services librarian Christina Hilberger, who will also be hosting events and workshops throughout the year with the library's other staff members. Last weekend, the Department of Campus Life hosted Fredonia's annual Family and Friends Weekend, which included numerous events designed to draw current and prospective students and families to campus. On Friday, the festivities were kicked off with a welcome dinner in the MPR in the Williams Center. Throughout the weekend, various other campus departments held events of their own, including Fredonia Radio Systems' Great Ghostly Games and Residence Life's Monster Mash. Public ice skating was available in the Steel Hall Ice Rink, and members of Fredonia Immersive Theater staged Terror in the Trees, an outdoor, horror-themed guided walk through the campus woodlot. The weekend ended with a bang with Rocktoberfest on Sunday night, a live concert hosted by Sound Services in the Williams Center. Last Saturday, the Theater and Dance Department held the final performance of the musical Natasha, Pierre, and the Great Comet of 1812, which they first premiered on Friday, October 20th. Described as an electro-pop opera, the musical is based on one chapter of Leo Tolstoy's epic historical novel War and Peace. The musical features a cornucopia of different music styles, including songs that could be described as traditional Broadway music, Russian folk, and electronic dance. Quote, "It really is a beautiful piece of art," unquote, said Dr. Jessica Hillman-McCord, the director of the main stage production. Quote, "It's an exciting clash of styles, genres, and periods with eclectic music," unquote. This musical was particularly special to perform, as audience participation is a key part of the experience. Fredonia was able to stage one of the earliest regional productions of Great Comet, as the performance rights had only recently become available. That's it for campus news. Now let's send it back to Lee.
Thanks, Dan. Next up, we have local news. There's a new location of Lena's Pizza, Sub and Wings in the city of Dunkirk. An official ribbon cutting was at the grand opening of the Central Ave location. If you are unaware of Lena's Pizzas, they have pizzas, wings, salads, tacos, nachos, keto bowls, burgers, and more. The new location will be open Monday through Saturday from 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. The parking for Lena's would be located on East 5th Street near Central Avenue, but the actual location is at 436 Central Ave, Dunkirk. The November elections are approaching fast for the Chautauqua County elections. However, of the 27 towns in Chautauqua County, 17 of them do not have a single contested race. The towns of Mena, Pomfret, and Portland do not have a supervisor for the election. Only 4 towns have contested supervisor races, which are Arkwright, Ellicott, Ellington, and Ripley. There are 3 new elected supervisors in the town of Charlotte, Dunkirk, and Sheridan are replacing those who were in the position before them because they all passed away in 2023. For highway superintendent, all of the 17 towns that have races, only North Harmony and Ripley are contested. Of the 13 villages in Chautauqua County, 10 of them will have races in November. Of those 10, 7 don't have a single competitive race. For the cities of Dunkirk and Jamestown, both nearly have full slates of contestants. And if you have the opportunity, please go out and vote. That's it for your local news update. Let's move on to some sports with Brock.
Thanks, Lee. The volleyball team was on the road for a pair of Noon Oct matchups this past weekend. The Blue Devils faced Potsdam on Friday, winning it all 3-1. Sadly, on the following day, they do happen to lose to Plattsburgh 2-3. But the overall Fredonia record right now is currently sitting at 4-18. The hockey team is having a rough start to their season. The team also was on a trip to the Midwest as they opened up their regular season this past weekend against Tyne University in Angola. But they went back-to-back losses to Tyne. The first day was Tyne won 6-3, and the following day Tyne also won 0-3. Fredonia's first home game will be at 7:30 on Friday, November 10th, when they host their conference rival, Buff State. As the World Series matchup is on the full swing, the Texas Rangers and the Arizona Diamondbacks are currently tied 1-1. On Friday, the Rangers escaped past the Diamondbacks in the first game with a close 6-5 lead. As they were hitting the road for the Sunday matchup, they were blown out by the Diamondbacks for a brutal 9-1 lead. The tension couldn't get any higher as both teams are getting ready for Game 3 at Chase Field in downtown Phoenix, Arizona, tonight at 8. After defeating the Tampa Bay Bucks 24-18, the Buffalo Bills are in the midst of trade rumors as the deadline is tomorrow. Rumors are Josh Ock from the Patriots, Hopkins from the Titans, and Renfrow from the Raiders. There are floating around. Reminders, there are all just rumors. We will have to see tomorrow. That's all with your sports update. Let's send it to Sara for the weather.
Now, here is your Northern Chautauqua weather update brought to you by Fredonia Radio Systems.
Hey y'all, take out your rain boots and warm jackets because it's going to be chilly and wet. I'm feeling cold just thinking about today with the showers and a high of 48. Of course, how could it be the fall season without high wind speeds? Later into the night, the rain slowly stops, leaving us with clouds in the high 30s. And just like that, we're done with the month as we approach Halloween. The clouds loom as the temperature reaches 45 degrees. Considering alter your costume for the evening to be more cold-friendly since it'll be low 36 with possible snow. Oh man, don't you love a snowy Halloween night? That's it for your 2-day weather. Keep listening and I'll be back with the rest of your 5-day forecast. For now, let's take it to Lee for our local music update.
The local lowdown is presenting the Beach Fest at Main Street Studios. There will be vendors to sell their products such as Fredonia Radio's records and CDs, Oopsie art by Sara, and more. Dressing up like you're on the beach is highly suggested. The music that all the Beach Boys will be jamming out to is the Burkharts, which is what you're listening to right now, as well as Johnny and the Man Kids, Beach Tower, Star Juice, and Fruit Fly. The local Lowdown event is on November 11th at Main Street Studios at 50 West Main Street, Fredonia. Doors are at 7 p.m. and music is at 7:30 p.m. That's all I have for music news this week. Let's bring it to Josh for national and international news.
This past weekend was the weekend just before Halloween, and as such, it saw many raging parties across the nation. And with large gatherings of people comes large opportunities for danger. This weekend saw a total of 12 mass shootings. According to the Gun Violence Archive, about 11 people died and 76 were injured. The archive defines a shooting as a mass shooting when at least 4 people are injured or killed, excluding the shooter. The shootings occurred in Texas, Indiana, Florida, Illinois, Georgia, Kansas, Maryland, New Mexico, Louisiana, and Ohio. The police department in Texarkana, Texas, tweeted on X stating, quote, "One man died at the scene and then a woman and another man died overnight at the hospital. The 3 other victims, 2 men and a woman, suffered what are not believed to be life-threatening injuries and are recovering at the hospital," end quote. In Indianapolis, Indiana, half of the 9 victims were minors, and in Tampa, Florida, 2 people died, including a 14-year-old and a 20-year-old. These shootings occurred only days after the deadliest mass shooting so far this year occurred in Lewiston, Maine, a shooting that saw the death of 18 people. Israel officially began a much-expected ground offensive on Friday and continues pushing into Gaza for the 4th day today as part of what they claim to be the second phase of the war with Hamas. The Israeli military claims that since Friday, their airstrikes have hit over 600 militant Hamas targets. Israel has blocked off Gaza's main north-south highway, advancing forces on both sides of Gaza and surrounding areas of northern Gaza. The Gaza Ministry of Health claims that about 1,000 Palestinians have died since the ground offensive began on Friday, putting the death toll at around 8,000. Although Israel has allowed trucks in to deliver aid such as food and medical supplies, there is still no fuel in the enclave. About 117 trucks have been allowed in through the Rafah border crossing so far, but none have carried fuel as Israel is concerned that it could get into the hands of Hamas. Without fuel, many food suppliers have shut down, and food and drinking water continue to remain scarce. After a day and 2 nights of internet and phone service outages, communications finally came back yesterday across Gaza. This year's upcoming elections may not see Donald Trump's name on the ballot box, as some states are finally hearing court cases that could seize his ability to run for office again. These cases attempt to use the insurrection clause from the U.S. Constitution to bar Trump from running for the White House position. Section 3 of the 14th Amendment states that no person running for office in the United States, quote, "shall have engaged in insurrection or rebellion against the same or given aid or comfort to the enemies thereof. But Congress may, by a vote of 2/3 of each house, remove such disability," end quote. In these initial rulings, the results are likely to remain null, as any decision to either allow or deny Trump's campaign would likely find itself in an appellate court until it finally goes through each circuit to inevitably land in the U.S. Supreme Court. The most significant cases as of now appear to have come from Colorado and Minnesota, as they use a more legally sound route in an attempt to get officials to disqualify Trump. This is opposed to other cases that seek rule from federal judges that Trump would be ineligible. In any case, one can likely expect that these legal challenges will take a substantial amount of time to figure themselves out. That does it for today's national and international news. Now let's take it back to Sara for the rest of your weather forecast. Spoiler alert, it's cold.
Finally, getting into November as we discuss Wednesday with strong wind speeds and a high of 45. With the combination of rain and snow throughout the day, you'll know I'll be staying inside. The showers of rain and snow continue into the night as it dips into the mid-30s. Cloudy defines Thursday as it reaches 50 degrees. If you don't happen to remember the temperature, the sharp, forceful winds will remind you how cold it is. As it drops into the low 40s, the clouds scatter across the night sky, leaving some room for the waning gibbous. Last but not least, Friday is going to be fairly sunny. Don't let that fool you, though. It'll be chilly mid-50s. Hold on to your short friend that might get blown away by your 30-mile wind speeds. That short friend being me at a startling 5'1". Bundle up that evening since it'll be a cold 42 with a high cloud cover. That's it for your 5-day forecast. Let's take it right back to Lee.
That'll wrap up for today's edition of News at Noon. Campus news is written and read by Dan Quagliana. Local news for this broadcast is prepared by Lee Pye. Weather is presented by Sara Lodespoto. Sports is presented by Papke. Music is prepared by Lee Pye. National and international news is prepared by Joshua Ribakove. And finally, board operations for this broadcast are performed by Hunter Halterman. Thanks for tuning in to News at Noon. Join us every Monday and Wednesday at 12 p.m. on WCVF 88.9 and WDVL 89.5. From all of us at Fredonia Radio Systems, have a wonderful and warm day.